And we are back talking to Joy Page, who is the owner of the Joy of Yoga Studio. And we've just been having a great discussion about Reiki and what it is. Just to tag on to that discussion, can anybody do Reiki real
Anyone,
quick?
any,
Anyone. Okay, so it's just getting trained. You believe we're
literally.
all capable of
Yeah.
hands
And
healing.
one thing I just recommend is when people are looking to get trained, just make sure that you meet your teacher first, right? Because that's somebody that you're probably going to have a relationship with for a really long time, maybe even the rest of your life. So you just want to make sure it's somebody that you resonate with and you feel safe in their presence.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so speaking of training, you do teacher training for yoga at
I
the Joy of Yoga Studio. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your studio?
So, we just had last weekend or the weekend before last, our 2023 group just graduated. So, Joy of Yoga we had our 10-year anniversary last December, December of 2022. And when I started it, I was also a real estate agent. Back in the 90s, I started a real estate company. I started flipping properties. I started fixing up properties. I started renting properties. And then I became a realtor. And I don't know if you've probably worked with a realtor if you yourself, don't have any firsthand knowledge of how they work, but basically they work 24/7. Anytime there's a problem, you call the realtor and you expect to get a hold of them. I was also a single mom with two young kids, and that's why I wanted that kind of freedom because I really wanted to be there when there was things going on at school or they had games. So I needed that flexibility in my life. But it was really causing me a tremendous amount of stress. And yoga had been something that was in my life back in the 90s, back in college. I went to my first yoga class, fell in love really with the philosophy more than the physical practice. Back then, my teacher was very gentle and I was in my 20s, so I was always looking for something a little bit more rigorous. But the teachings, the philosophy of yoga really, really, really spoke to me. And then, fast forward, I got married, I have kids. That period of your life, especially when they're little, your life really isn't your own. You're just trying to like hold a house together, make sure that there's, food and money and all the things. And then, after the kids became a little bit older, a friend of mine, she talked me into going into go to a yoga teacher training. And I really just wasn't feeling it. I was like, I'm not going to teach yoga. Like, do they even make any money? Like, I have two kids, And she's like, no, 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 just do it with me. You will learn all the things that you're really interested in when it comes to yoga. So I did the teacher training. And then, literally, a week after teacher training, a friend of mine, like, I don't even know if Facebook was a thing yet. I don't think we were keeping track of each other online. Just reached out to me. He knew I liked yoga. He knew I ran a successful real estate business, and he wanted somebody to like share space in his dojang where they would have yoga classes when he wasn't having classes and help him share the rent. And I was like, well, that sounds fun. Let me do that. On top of being a real estate agent, a single mom, 8 rental properties. Let me open a yoga studio. I know. So, but I feel like ever since then, it was really, really such a beautiful time because I know this probably isn't what you had in mind when you asked me to tell you about Joy of Yoga, but this is
It's
like
all good.
the foundation, like the underlying current of Joy of Yoga, because there was this I had the ability because I had a yoga business that I wasn't really looking at it to bring in the income for the household because I had the real estate business to do that. And my partner was also a real estate agent. So me and someone else went into business and they were a real estate agent. So I had all these belief systems around you have to be productive to have any worth. You have to grind. And, back then, like in the 2000s, everybody's talking about, grinding and hustling and all these things to make money. And I'm like, this isn't really sustainable. I don't think this is how the universe really works. And so I really started to step into this idea that I could trust that the universe would have my back. I could trust that yes, I have to work and yes, I have to put effort in and yes, I have to make plans and do these things, but I don't have to kill myself to make a good amount of money. And when because there wasn't a lot of skin in the game, so to speak, in the yoga side, I could really just, put all of these big ideas into practice that are really scary to do if it's like your only source of income, right? Where I could just be like, all right, instead of like going out and finding, the talent, maybe what we would call it in other industries, but like talented teachers and people who are really inspired and excited to teach. I'm like, instead of me thinking about going out and finding them, let me see if I can just, magnetize to me what I want to bring to me. And instead of me always thinking about something like making my decisions based on what I think is going to bring in the most amount of money, what if I made my decisions based on how it makes me feel or how much time it allows me to have with my family? Right. So, like all of these really big ideas about manifesting, letting things fall into place, being a little bit more fluid, stop trying to control all the outcomes, maybe even give up some of the pride and the ego that my way is the best way. So, that is really how Joy of Yoga came about. 6 years in, I turned in my real estate license. And then ever since then, we started doing all these other trainings with everything from mediums to nutritionists to singing bowl to, I mean, there's just so many different things, somatic breath work, of course, Reiki, coaching, all the things. So Joy of Yoga's really had a life of its own. And I kind of just see myself like, I don't even, more like I'm the ship and it's the captain. I, yeah, like
That's
this
so great.
backward.
Yeah. The vision is directing you.
Yeah,
So you're in, is it Rock Hill technically, the
Brentwood.
address?
Brentwood.
Brentwood.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Yeah, right on Manchester, like kind of Manchester and McKnight. Am I remembering that right?
Manchester and Brentwood. Mhm.
And Brentwood. Okay, okay, got it. And yeah, for the St. Louis listeners who might want to find you. Yeah, I've been there a few times. It's a little off the beaten path for me, but I've attended some really cool workshops and meditations, and I went to your open house once and I won a gift like right off the bat in the draw.
Hey,
So
yeah.
yeah. It's a beautiful studio, and I keep running into people who go there and who speak of it, and I've never heard anything negative about Joy of Yoga. And I love that it includes your name and that you're such a part of it, Joy. And yeah, so is there any events coming up or anything you'd like to talk about?
Well, if you just go to joyofyogastl.com, let me just say that a little slower. I feel like I'm talking fast today. Joyofyogastl.com. There's a workshops tab and a schedule tab. So you can just kind of see all the different things. But something that I'm really, really excited about for the last 7 years, I've been studying Ayurveda, become an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I've been working with detoxes. So in Ayurveda, every fall and every spring, you do a detox because you've accumulated so much, whatever it is, over the summer months, right? For me, it's a lot of heat, inflammation, maybe a little bit of like irritability is kind of how I feel at the end of the summer. And in the winter, it might be something different, right? It might be more lethargy or depression or anxiety, depending on what people go through in the winter time. So you want to clear the system out before you step into the next season through a detox. And I have been playing with so many different detoxes over the last 7 years, and I would usually do two a year. And I never really loved any of them. I mean, I liked them enough and I would do them every year, but not enough. I never found one that I wanted to lead or teach. And so I really took this year, I finally figured out the missing piece is, well, I won't go into it because that might be another 15 minutes, but I finally figured out the missing piece to what was missing in the detox for me. And I just brought all the things that I loved from all the detoxes I've done and then things that I've come up with on my own and put together a 4-week detox that we're going to do, Ayurvedic detox that we're going to do at the studio that starts, I think, October 15th. It's a
Oh,
Sunday
cool.
in October. And we're going to do it for 4 weeks. And we're going to learn all the different Ayurvedic practices, why we tongue scrape, why we oil pull, why we do the dry brushing, the abhyanga, how the lymph system works, the herbs and the spices and the foods, and just kind of like create, there'll be this big container for a detox. They will be limited to 15 people. And then each of us is going to be coming from a different place and wanting to be focusing on a different thing. And the way that Ayurvedic detoxes work is there's room for everything. Because the whole idea is that if doing the detox is stressing the system, if you're stressed out about what food you have to make or grocery shopping or being hungry, right? People are stressed. They're always thinking they're going to be hungry, which you would never be hungry on an Ayurvedic detox because you'd be stressing the system and then you're working against the body. So we're always looking for ways like, how can we just dial something back and underwhelm ourselves, right? Just making these little small incremental shifts. And that is what has been like the biggest game changer for me is over those 7 years, every detox would be another little small incremental shift, but it would stick. Instead of a lot of times, some of those bigger detoxes that I would do before where we would just give up caffeine, sugar, meat, uh,
Right.
fast food, everything. You just give it up right away for a week. It's like that was so stressful to me. I didn't realize the reason it wasn't working is because, or it didn't last, I should say, is because I was so stressed out. I was so
Uh-huh.
stressed out. So Ayurveda has a totally different approach. And I actually have created just a little bit different approach myself. And I'm really excited about starting that and doing that with a group of people because, when we do these things in groups, they are really, really transformational. And then we end up making friends for life and finding practices that support our health, hopefully for the rest of our life too.
Very cool. I want to do it. I think that
Mm.
would be awesome. Yeah. So someone like me who wants to do it, I go to the Joy of Yoga website.
Yeah, you
Joy
can.
of Yoga STL. Is that what you said it was?
Thank you. It is. Yeah. And then under workshops, they're in chronological order, and that one starts around October 15th, 4 weeks, Sundays, 2 to 4. And then the information, the link to sign up, everything's right there.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
Joy, any final thing you want to leave us with? Is there another way to contact you, or is the website the best way?
Yeah, the website's the best way. You can always email me, same email address, joyofyogastl@gmail.com. And I just really want to thank you, Julia, for
Oh, you
allowing me
bet.
to be here and have me on your show and ask such great questions. And yeah,
Oh,
I appreciate the
it
opportunity.
was fun. That was Joy Page, owner of the Joy of Yoga Studio and Reiki Master. Stick around. We will be right back with part 3 of Mystic Fix when we're going to do some tarot card readings.
Thanks, Julia.